Homelessness in America is a major epidemic and a plague at this point. And it's also a problem that is affecting millions of people around the world. I've been doing a series about homelessness and poverty on Bowman Live. And tonight, I'm going to go to a different part of the world, to Japan, and we're going to talk about the homeless problem in Japan and how they are dealing with it. In a country of 125 million people, fewer than 3,000 people are without shelter, amounting to a homelessness rate of approximately 0.02%. But is that really the truth? Tyrone Bowman Live. Welcome to the program. According to an article in the Sunday Examiner, dealing with Asia commentary, features, and commentary. The article reads, "The Invisible Homeless in Japan." Now, here's a picture of a homeless man sleeping in Tokyo. I'm going to show you that first, if I can enlarge it. He's an elderly man here. You see him, he's sleeping there. So I want to talk about this story tonight. Let's get right down to it. For those of you who have subscribed to the channel, thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I get started, let me say this. Being homeless is not a wonderful thing for many people. And here in America, it's getting worse and worse every single day. One of the biggest problems is that the rich and the powerful seemingly don't care anything about the homeless because they're more so concerned about their stocks, bonds, portfolios, dividends, and etc. And the political climate in America, they do not want to address the issue because they're too busy focusing on other matters that they feel as though that are more important than dealing with homelessness, poverty, health care, high gas prices, high food prices, and etc. Well, tonight, I'm going to talk about the invisible homeless in Japan. According to this article, quote, as of January 2024, the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare reported 2,820 homeless individuals across the nation. In contrast, the United States, with its larger population and broader economic disparities, grapples with an estimated 582,462 homeless individuals as per the 2022 Department of Housing and Urban Development report. In America, 582,462 people apparently are homeless. That is a staggering percentage and a statistical amount. Homelessness can affect everybody, not just the people who are being homeless, but when they have to depend upon friends, relatives, and strangers to get by on support. I come in contact with my homeless brothers and sisters every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't encounter some of them. And 582,462 homeless individuals in America, well, that's what we know of. But in actuality, there are probably a lot more. While these figures suggest a dramatic difference, they are reflective of underlying societal, economic, and cultural disparities that shape the nature of homelessness in each country. At first glance, Japan's relatively low homeless population seems like a triumphant. In a country of 125 million, fewer than 3,000 people are without shelter, amounting to a homelessness rate of approximately 0.02%. Meanwhile, in the United States, with a population of 330 million, the homelessness rate is nearly 0.18%, almost 90 times higher. These statistics, however, tell only part of the story. Homelessness in Japan is often understated due to societal norms. that stigmatize poverty and public failure. Many Japanese individuals experiencing housing insecurity live in internet cafes, capsule hotels, or poorly maintained apartments, technically avoiding the label of, quote, homeless, end quote, but still existing in precarious conditions. So basically, they're hiding the homeless because they don't want it appear to be that they have a problem. So statistically, they want to report that there's such a low rate of being homeless and in poverty in Japan when that is not really true. You know, on surface, anyone can make it look like everything is okay. I'll give you an example. If the Olympics were coming to America, let's just say to a city like California, they're going to clean up, spruce up, and make California be as attractive as they possibly can. There will be a huge sweep of getting rid of the homeless people in downtown California and all the places where they're going to be presenting their best face forward. Ignoring the problem only exacerbates it. It doesn't make it go away. Many individuals in Japan live in internet cafes, using them as de facto homes. These are, quote, net cafe refugees, end quote. Often lack stable employment and cannot afford regular housing. A 2018 government survey estimated about 4,000 people were living this way in Tokyo alone. Those living in capsule hotels, cheap shared accommodation, or housing that lacks basic amenities would also fit into a broader definition of homelessness. This population is challenging to quantify, but could include tens of thousands nationwide. If all these factors were considered, the true number of Japan's homeless could range between 100,000 and 200,000 people, a far cry from the 2,820 individuals officially recognized by the ministry. The low official number reflects a narrow, street visible definition that excludes the hidden realities of homelessness shaped by stigma and societal expectations. Do you know someone that's homeless? It could be your friend or associate. It could be a neighbor. It could be a churchgoer. It could be someone in your synagogue. It could be someone in your mosque or masjid. It could be some of the children who attend school with your children, not really telling you about their personal life because they're taught by their parents what goes on in this house stays in this house. So you see how in reality people think, quote unquote, because this is the holiday season, that everybody is full of gaiety. Everyone is happy. There's cheer everywhere. Downtown in various cities around downtown, they're making it seem like there aren't any economic problems, but there is a serious problem of inflation. There is a serious problem of homelessness and poverty in America and around the world. Whether people want to talk about it or not, whether they want to address it or not, it doesn't matter because it's still a stipulated fact. Oh, I know. It bothers people because it interrupts their holiday season. It interrupts their gift giving and gift buying. It interrupts the so-called moments of gaiety that they'll have with their ungrateful relatives. The ones that they don't speak to all year long, you know that bunch. The ones that you hate every day. The ones that you never call, write, or visit with. But for pretentious purposes, individuals will say, oh, I'm going home for the holidays to see. And as soon as you get to that house, you regret the moment that your plane lands down. You know why? Or your bus or your train. You know why? Because all those vivid memories, those haunting vivid memories, begin to come back to your mind. And as you know, many movies are made depicting the so-called holiday season. Back to the article. The low official numbers reflects a narrow street visible definition that excludes the hidden realities of homelessness shaped by stigma and societal expectations. Then there are the root causes of homelessness. Japan and the US diverge in ways that reflect their respective societal structures. In Japan, homelessness primarily affects older men, many of whom were casualties of the quote, lost decades, end quote, following the economic bubble burst in the 1990s. The collapse of lifetime employment norms left many middle aged men jobless. A lack of societal mobility prevented them from re entering the workforce. By the time they aged out of employability, they found themselves alone, without savings or familiar support. What? Are you kidding? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, develop different skills while you're young. Don't depend upon your government to take care of you. Don't depend upon your family or society to take care of you. Maintain your independence and your mobility. And what do you mean, TY? It's just this simple. Reinvent yourself. Take care of your health, take care of your looks, take care of your body. If you have to change some things, start a brand new career. Start a trade, become an apprentice. But make yourself so viable in the 21st century until you can outthink, outcomputerize, and outwork any young man or woman. This is not a game. This is reality. When you become self-sufficient and self-employable, you will find out that you will become in great demand by potential employers. Oftentimes when I'm alone, I listen to a lot of motivational audiobooks, and I read a lot as well. And one thing that I'm determined to do, and that's why I'm a law student, because I'm embarking on a whole new career as an advocate to help men and women that really need help. This is a decision that I've decided to make because I believe that this is part of my predestinated divine purpose for being on this planet. There are real victims of crime. There are wrongfully convicted men and women of crime. And then there are those who think that recidivism is a game. They think it is a joke. So this program tonight, and I try to deal with at least a topic regarding the homeless once a week until I cover the whole globe. Oh yes, I'm going to cover the entire globe and find out how our brothers and sisters are doing around the world. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't exist. While most folk, you want to know what Trump is thinking, you want to know what Trump is doing, you want to know what MAGA is doing, help yourself. If you want to be embroiled in the negativity, the racism, and the bigotry, and the prejudice that's being flaunted throughout the nation, you can have all of it that you desire to have. There are more important things going on in the world outside of the corrupted politics of Washington, D.C. Now, that's just in Japan. In American cities like Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco, sprawling encampments serve as grim reminders of the crisis. These 10 cities are both a symptom of systemic failure and a source of public contention. In Japan, such visible encampments are rare, as cultural norms discourage public displays of hardship. Geographically, Japanese homeless tend to cluster in urban parks, 25.2%, by roads, 23.8%, and riverbanks. They prefer to go there, and 22.6%, reflecting both the urban concentration and the societal pressure to remain out of sight. The stigma attached to homelessness in Japan further suppresses visibility. Asking for help is seen as a personal failure, and the homeless are often marginalized to the point of invisibility. Well, that ain't the case in America. You know it, and I know it. Quote, the song Ain't Too Proud to Beg, end quote, by the Temptations. Our homeless brothers and sisters, they panhandle, they have their signs up. We see them. Gas stations, we see them driving down the street. We see them when we're walking down the street. Most people try to pretend that they don't exist, act like they can't hear them, don't see them. They'll have their ear pods in their ear and nothing's on, but they will pretend that they can't hear. I'm just showing how this thing is going. You know, this is a reality, and this is a sore sight in this country and in this nation. I see in the comment section somebody says it's a Democratic problem. No, it's an American problem. And you all think that the Republicans say and do everything that's right. Well, I'm here to dispute it tonight. They don't say and do everything that is right. They are a major part of the problem, and they think because they voted for a particular candidate who epitomizes their vitriol that everything is good. Well, when it comes to your city, your town, your suburb, your little county, when it starts affecting those that you know, I want you to tell me how well the employment is going down in the rural parts of America. Tell me about it. Tell me how the economy is working down in the South. Tell me about the do-nothing politicians from the South that you voted and put in power who care nothing about y'all. So you keep voting for them. Keep thinking that it's a Democratic problem or an independence problem and that Republicans are right when it comes to everything. They will address any and every issue except the ones that need to be addressed. One of the dumbest things the Democrats ever did was to end the government shutdown. In the U.S., homelessness is more likely to affect younger demographics and families. Over 30% of the homeless population consists of children under 18. Yes, there are many of our young men and women who do not live in houses because in many of those homes they suffer abuse. You know it and I know it. Verbal, physical, and sexual abuse they suffer, and they would rather be out there with their friends or living on the streets. And many of them want the independence as they talk about. While official statistics report a surprisingly low rate of homelessness, they overlook, in all, homelessness in Japan is far more complex than it appears, often going unnoticed by tourists who see a country seemingly free of the issue. While official statistics report a surprisingly low rate of homelessness, they overlook the hidden struggles of those living in society's fringes. Net cafe residents, individuals in unstable housing, and those too marginalized to seek assistance. This invisibility, perpetuated by deep-rooted societal stigma, obscures the true extent of the problem and creates a misleading narrative. Now, this article was written by Christiane Martina Grimaldi. Okay, so the views expressed in this article that I just read are those of the author and not necessarily reflect the official editorial position of UCA News. Now, I found a video. I was going to make it separate, but you know what? I'm going to go straight to the video. And this video is entitled, How Japan Hides Its Homeless. And video credit goes to @Oriental Pearl. Let's look at it together. Here we go.
Living in Japan for over 7 years, I've always found it very odd that you don't really see very many homeless people in this country. Walking down the busy city streets of Tokyo, you may pass by one or two or see them here, 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 or all over here. Yet still, a lot of foreigners believe that there are no homeless people in Japan. That's why I've spent the last 3 years investigating and documenting the issue of homelessness, and I've learned of 8 main reasons you don't really see homeless people in this country. Let's start with number 1, anti-homeless architecture. You see, Japan is not a country that allows people to loiter. That's why you'll see this kind of plastic or the less nice version of barbed wire on areas people would normally want to sit or sleep. This is one way that the local government keeps homeless people from congregating, sleeping under bridges, is putting up fences under places like this. You might have walked by something like this and not even noticed.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive
How the
Officer of
Sam
Phoenix
Hill
Energy.
this came up, because when I looked at the video, no commercials came up. And I had to rewind it a bit. I'm tired of these YouTube infomercials. You know, televisions are going to become extinct after a while people would just have them for the purpose of having internet only. All right, let's get back to this.
Keeps homeless people from congregating and sleeping under bridges is putting up fences under places like this. You might have walked by something like this and not even noticed. There's also these really uncomfortable chairs that you definitely can't lay down on. You're not going to want to take a nap on that. I barely want to sit on.
Let me address this comment at the bottom. Says, in America, all is possible with a little help and hard work. That is a true statement. I agree with it. But everything doesn't come as a result of hard work. Hard work will kill you. Work smart. People cooperatively working together can get things done. But there are other factors to consider as well. I'll deal with that in some video. And this one goes on to say, quote, blame others for your problems or shortcomings. How about hard work? First of all, no one's blaming anybody about anything. I'm addressing and talking about a problem. If you don't like what I'm talking about, then get off the page. Go someplace else. But over here, MAGA does not rule. Over here, I'm going to talk about the topics that are important to me. And hard work does not guarantee that you won't be homeless. Hard work doesn't guarantee that you won't run into racism and bigotry and prejudice. Hard work doesn't guarantee that the job that you get, especially if it pays minimum wage, is enough to take care of the rent. In New York City alone, people are paying anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a month just to live in a shoebox. And there are many hardworking, intellectual, everyday people working in New York City. And in some cities, it takes 90% of their paycheck just to keep a mortgage. And then the other is for taxes. And God forbid if you live in one of those communities where you got the homeowners association, that's nothing more than a gossip organization telling you, you can't do this, you can't do that. Don't put that sign there. Don't put that there. We have rules and regulations. You know, that would get on my nerves real quick. So hard work. Suppose you run into an obstacle where somebody falls prey to an unforeseen illness. Should that person's job be taken away because they might have an ailing parent or a mother or grandmother that has dementia or Alzheimer's? See, you all sit back and listen to the propaganda that comes from that other network that I call the racist and bigoted network. You listen to that garbage and verbiage all day and all night and think that it is the consensus of all the people in this country. So over here, I'm going to talk about homeless. If you don't like it, you know, college education is not even worth the paper that it's printed on. I'm in school right now, studying to become an attorney. So don't give me that garbage about you have to have a college education. Henry Ford was not a college graduate. He didn't even make it past the 3rd grade. One of the greatest industrialists of all time, John D. Rockefeller. How about Albert Einstein? They didn't have college degrees. Andrew Carnegie. They didn't have college degrees. So college degrees, they don't necessitate an individual, quote unquote, being atop of the food chain. Did you watch the movie The Wolf of Wall Street? Genius, corruption, greed, narcissism, avarice, individuals thinking they had it all with their college educated selves? What about becoming an apprentice? What about jobs like being a carpenter, a masonry, an electrician? There's nothing wrong with those jobs. See, they got to imprint it in your mind that if you don't make a 6-figure digit income, that you can't survive in this country. And that is a lie. Because I come up from a community being raised up with everyday working middle-class people at the time. Was it easy? No. Was it hard? Yes. Were there problems? Were there circumstances and situations that came up on a daily basis? The answer is yes, but they made it work. Never forget that. I'm going to get back to the video meantime.
Under places like this. You might have walked by something like this and not even noticed. There's also these really uncomfortable chairs that you definitely can't lay down on. You're not going to want to take a nap on that. I barely want to sit on that for more than 10 minutes. That is definitely not comfortable. And then they barricade these kinds of places at night, so the doors will lock, the gates will lock, and no one can get in there to prevent people from sleeping in there. And if you look carefully, you can see the suitcases and homeless tents back there. They're hidden during the daytime. Oh, back here. There's actually a lot. There's some tourists. There's people right in front of the homeless tents. I don't think they even notice. They're too busy with the cherry blossoms. These are not construction sites. It's tarps with homeless people's stuff underneath. So this is why you don't see homeless people when you come to Japan, because you don't know what you're looking at. Well, anti-homeless architecture keeps homeless people from gathering in crowded public spaces. What keeps them from living downtown is the threat of eviction. You see, if you set up a tent on a busy street in Japan, you are likely to be swiftly evicted by the police. That's why you don't see homeless people gathered much in Japanese parks, because the residents nearby will quickly call the police and have them removed from the area. This has been done again and again on a mass scale in cities like Nagoya and Osaka that have sizable homeless populations, where the police will come in, have the tents taken down, and the homeless people's stuff removed, as well as the homeless people themselves. If they don't want to be moved, they will be forcibly moved out of the way and dispersed out of sight, out of mind. That's why in doing these documentaries, I had to go way out into the countryside, into the forest where the evicted homeless people were now living. There are very few exceptions where the Japanese government will allow homeless people to live in the city. One exception is the Shinjuku Municipal Building that has soup kitchens several times a week. There's a sizable homeless population there, and they've been there for many, many years. They're allowed to leave their stuff out there. They're allowed to sleep.
Are you getting the runaround from workers' comp after your work injury? You're not alone. A lot of injured workers.
Someone said, I will follow you. All right, thanks for following. And there are a lot of underlying factors that cause homelessness too. You know, a lot of people have addictive behaviors. Some of that can cause people to end up being homeless. You never know, ladies and gentlemen. You never know.
Set up semi-permanent housing, but it always surprises me that the many tourists that come to this area never seem to notice that what they're looking at is a homeless encampment. The Japanese government does not want homeless people congregated in public in large numbers, with one other exception, that is manga cafes. Originally made for people to enjoy the internet and manga for a few hours while out on the town, manga cafes have become a safe haven for Japan's homeless youth. There are over 15,000 people living in manga cafes across the country, and they are not counted in official statistics on homelessness. But why would they choose to live in a place like this? Well, they have everything they need. Laundry, shower, bathroom. You have a key to your room at these low prices. There's even a locker for your stuff. Just 100 yen to get in here. Take a shower. With new services like all-you-can-eat snack bars with curry and rice, drink fountains that offer unlimited drinks, and laundry services, manga cafes today are looking more like hotels than, well, cafes. And that's why Japan's working poor is increasingly choosing to live here, which means you're unlikely to notice a homeless problem in Japan at all. And when you see these people out on the streets, they certainly don't look the part of homeless. That brings us to number 4. The typical stereotype of a homeless person is someone that is older, dirty, and ragged clothes, but that's simply not usually the case in Japan. As I've learned through working with the Akiramenai homeless charity here in Shinjuku, a lot of homeless people in Japan blend in just like everyone else, and there's nothing about them that would indicate to you that they're homeless. Talking to them, walking around the streets, they look like everybody else.
You saw him just walking down the street. You would never think he's homeless.
The homeless in Japan have an amazing ability to camouflage their homes and themselves. You might walk right past them and not even realize it. But by far, the biggest reason you don't see many homeless people in Japan is because there is no drug crisis. Unlike the West, where there are hundreds of thousands of people addicted to illegal substances, Japan has a party scene, but one without drugs. That is why you won't see very many able-bodied young people out on the streets. It's mostly elderly men who are not able to work anymore. But of course, they do have their vices, and alcoholism is a big problem in Japan's homeless community. And you see alcohol sold in huge quantities in the slums, as well as many gambling parlors where people bet on boats or throw their money into pachinko, further keeping elderly Japanese in a cycle of poverty and homelessness from which is very hard to escape. But still,
You know what? She has a good point there, and I'll tell you the reason why. Even here in America, have you noticed something? Have you noticed something here in America? Why is it that all the Pennsylvania lottery and the New Jersey lottery or the Illinois lottery or all these lottery machines are always in the hood? You don't see them too much in suburban neighborhoods. Wine and spirits, shapi, that's what they call it up in the upper echelon part of the neighborhoods. But down in the hood, in the ghetto, as they want to call it, what do they have? Liquor. They call it a liquor store. You got stop and go stores. You got all these other stores, and in the gas stations, liquor, and you can go in there and buy anything. This is the hypocrisy of America. You tell people to buy weed under the guise of it being a marijuana medical condition. And it's supposed to help them, so they say. Really, it's nothing more than legalized weed. And the reason why it became legalized because they couldn't stop it. How many people are in prison right now doing major time from Richard Nixon's so-called war on drugs? Remember that? Then under the Reagan administration, the same thing, war on drugs. And it exacerbated the problem to the point low-level weed possessors end up doing 5, 10, 20, 30, and 40 years. And now they want to call them organic farms and things of that nature. Whatever your vice is, that's your personal business. I don't care about that. But I'm dealing with the hypocrisy that leads to the addictive behavior of people. And then there's the alcohol addiction. It's everywhere. You go into a restaurant to get some food, they say, what is your choice of beverage? That's the first thing they ask you when you walk in. Then they want to condemn you and judge you when you get high and drunk off alcohol during your lunch hour and you got to come back to work. Or you have to drive your car and go home. You get stopped by the police. They give you a breathalyzer test and they want to arrest you because you went to happy hour after work, just chilling with some of your friends. Hypocrisy. But does the alcoholic industry care? No. The same thing with cigarettes. The cigarette industry is one of the most hypocritical industries of all. Or they put that little warning on the pack and they know people are still going to buy the cigarettes, the cigars, etc., etc., etc. All these habits, after a while, and if you can't afford them, it leads to people being homeless. I'm not telling people what they should or shouldn't do, but I'm talking about the facts. How do I know? Because I grew up homeless. I said I grew up homeless in Philadelphia after my mother passed away when I was 12. And I'm not hooked on any type of substance because I saw what it did to people that I love. So I've been through the mill. I know what it is to sleep in the alley, on the pavement, cardboard tent. I never slept in subways. I know what it is to crash in my friend's home and still get up and go to school every single day. No one knew what I was doing or how I was living. Because I would go into the local KFC restaurant or the McDonald's and wash myself up every day. Wash my little bit of clothes on that I had. People would give me clothes. Some people would give me money here and there. Those who were closest to me knew, but I never complained. I never whined. I never cried. The only time they ever came, the teachers ever knew about my circumstances because SEPTA went on strike. And I had to sleep in the entranceway to the school. And the then principal of the school saw me the next morning, and I lied and told him I was just sitting there. He knew I was lying. The school newspaper called the Southern Rhine. If you don't think I'm making this up, go down to South Philadelphia High School and ask them for the Southern Rhine newspaper, an article entitled about me being homeless at that time. So my teachers and everybody came to my rescue, and they began to help me. Thank God for all of them. I'm not going to name them. They began to help me and to ensure that I was going to graduate from high school. So you darn right I'm going to advocate for the homeless and talk about those that are marginalized within society. Sometimes people, due to no fault of their own, they're quote unquote the working poor. They have a job. Many people have a job. They come to work looking good, smelling good, talking good, and acting good. But when they leave there, they're going to their little car or to somebody's house to live. If they have, some people live in a homeless shelter. Don't you know people are embarrassed to be homeless? Being homeless is not a good feeling. Don't you know people are embarrassed to ask for help? Everybody has a sense of pride to an extent. People don't like belittling themselves for a meal. Most individuals that I know want to live a decent, respectable life. All they want is a decent job with decent benefits and a decent neighborhood to live in. So yes, I'm an advocate for those that are homeless and in poverty. And I'm going to always be that way. And I'm never going to forget about my brothers and sisters that are going through. So I can personalize things here on Tyrone Bowman Live. You said you just lost your job. I'm sorry to hear that, but I will tell you I've lost many jobs. But I want you to look deep within your heart and in your mind. Let me take my glasses off because I want you to be able to look in my eyes. I want you to look deep within your heart and within your mind. And good that you are. And you're going to rebound, even if you have to take a job that you don't want to work. Look, I've had all kinds of jobs. I've worked at Church's Chicken. I've worked at KFC. I've worked at McDonald's. I used to work helping a carpenter. I've worked cleaning people's houses. I've done it all. Cleaning neighborhoods. Whatever decent job I could get, I took it. Some of these jobs paid little to nothing, but I took it anyway. I used to work in a supermarket and bag people's groceries to little to nothing, clean out the basement, mop the floors. And the boss would pay me extra money to take the entire payroll and put it in the bank every Friday. And then he'd say, are you available to come back later and help us unload the truck that night? Yeah, I would lie and say, well, I got to go home and I'll be back. I wasn't going home because I had no home to go to, but I would show back up around 8 or 9 o'clock that night and help unload the food truck. So you can make it, come to Walmart. We were hired. You know what? If I didn't have a job, I'd come to Walmart, but I got a job. I'm good. I want to help others to come up, quote unquote, come up. I want to help others to maintain their dignity, their respectability. And that's why I get so angry when I hear these rotten politicians condemn and judge people because they need some help with food stamps and welfare. Yet they themselves get 6-figure digit salaries plus benefits for themselves and their families and expense accounts. All because somebody voted them into office and they're living off the public trough. But you're going to condemn people because they're homeless. You're going to condemn them because they need food stamps. What about the rotten, greedy CEOs and billionaires who are robbing and cheating people every day and paying them less on the dollar, with every stipulation attached to work in their warehouse companies? And God forbid if they dare get tired and get exhausted from lack of sleep. What about the men and women who are out there Ubering and lifting all over the place and they don't even pay them that much money, putting their lives in danger? Somebody has to speak up for people. So what if a person needs welfare? I've been on welfare back in the day. That's when they had the food coupons. They had the actual books. But I didn't stay there. And if you need it, apply for it. Don't let nobody try to make you feel less than who you are. Don't let people belittle you or condemn you or judge you. If you need it for you and your family, do what you have to do. If you need SNAP, take it. There's a thing called corporate welfare. They want to call it corporate bailouts. It's tantamount to welfare. That's all. It's monetary welfare when major corporations have to come to the government and ask them for money to help get them out of bankruptcy. That's what it is. And then they sit around and judge and condemn and vilify everyday people who put these ungrateful people in office. Ungrateful folk who lied and swore to uphold the Constitution and to look out for the constituents in their company. But they found out that to stay in Washington, you got to play the game. And if you don't play the game, they don't want you around. But those of us who are on the front lines, we're going to continue to fight for those who need help and be an advocate and a voice for them. Because if I were a politician, I wouldn't be the kind they would think. I would do exactly what I say. I wouldn't even think about having a second term as a representative, because I'd do more damage in 4 years helping people than I could ever do with a 20-year career. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I care about doing right by God and humanity. That's what I care about. So if you're out of work now, you're going to get another job. It'll work out. All right, let's get back to the video. Enough preaching.
Without drugs, the number of homeless in Japan is far lower than you will see in. But still, without drugs, the number of homeless in Japan is far lower than you will see in Western countries. Japanese culture also differs greatly from the West in regards to begging. That's the sixth reason you probably won't interact with Japanese homeless. They're unlikely to ask you for money because in Japan they're unlikely to get money from pedestrians. I've been told this firsthand by people that were formerly homeless here in Japan. I'm from Detroit.
Catholic.
Oh, Catholic 教徒です。
For you.
She's done it.
My food for you. For you. But the Japanese, no. Japanese, not for you.
Why?
Only think of me.
自己中心ですか、日本人は。だからお金あげないんです。Japanese people will sometimes leave little treats for the homeless, like rice balls, but they're very unlikely to give money, which is why it's rare in Japan to see someone asking for money on the streets. There's also a great sense of cultural shame in asking other people for money and burdening others with your troubles, but occasionally Japanese will give aid to others, especially women. But men, on the other hand, which make up the vast majority, over 90% of the homeless people, are on their own, which is why they spend most of their days trying to collect cans to get money for themselves and support themselves. They are very unlikely to talk to you, bother you. They have nothing they want from you, and they're busy. But just because they're not talking to you doesn't mean they're not there.
Who's coming in the driveway?
All right, let's get back to some more comments real quick. Somebody said, quote, praise the Lord Yahuwah. Brother, you are right, close quote. Amen. I'll sanction that. Praise Yahuwah. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, somebody said, just don't make it a lifestyle. I agree. And it should not be a lifestyle. We all go through transitional periods in life. And those who know me personally know me. So many of the people who come into the comment section, some of them know exactly who I am. They know my story, etc., etc., etc. But I'll tell you one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to forget about those that are left behind. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this to you. If you can't do anything to help people, you can speak a kind word to them. Seriously. A kind word goes a long way. And I'll tell you the reason why. You may have a good job today. You may have a couple dollars in the bank. You may even have some money put away in case the emergency comes. But you don't know the future. No human being can predict futuristic events unless they have prophetic insight. So when unforeseen circumstances and situations come, it might not happen to you, but it can happen to a family member, a brother, a sister, an uncle, an aunt, grandma, grandpa. It can happen to friends that you know. They may call you or text you and ask you for help. And you might have to tap into that money that you have set aside to be able to help them. So oftentimes, when I come across individuals, if I don't have anything to give them, I know how to stand there, listen to their stories, and encourage them. Let me say this. As soon as we were able to get the kind of equipment and everything that I want, I'm going to hit the streets. Oh, yes, I am. I'm going to hit the streets with my film crew, and we're going to talk to people. We're not just going to talk to them. But once the camera's off, we're going to help them. Because I'm going to bring their stories to life. They're not going to be forgotten. They're not going to be the silent suffering. And I applaud those who are involved in acts of humanitarianism. Kudos to you. Thank you for all that you do. For those who have foundations and you're doing great work, thank you for the work that you're doing. For those who are involved in philanthropic things, thank you for the work that you are doing. For those who are wealthy and you're doing extraordinary good deeds and good works with your wealth, thank you for helping others. I sincerely mean it. Thank you for helping them. Because not all rich people are selfish and greedy. Not all rich people are bad people. And they oftentimes don't get the credit that they deserve because they don't want their name plastered on television and on the internet every time you turn around. They do it the way the Bible says, in secret. Yeah, Matthew, the 6th chapter. Go there, check it out. They do it in secret. Like it talks about in the Quran, when you do deeds, do it quietly. Do it without publicizing everything. Don't nobody want to be embarrassed having a camera up in their face. Well, here I am. I'm feeding the poor. I'm taking care of these poor, pathetic, wretched souls. Look at me. Put that camera on me and get my good profile. That is not right. Don't do that to people. Nobody wants to be humiliated and shamed because you're doing good for them. All right, let's get back to the conclusion of this video. I don't know how many more commercials they got, but hey, I'll get rid of them as soon as I possibly can.
Reason you don't really see homeless people in Japan is because you're getting the day view, not the night view. Stations like Shinjuku, Ueno, Ikebukuro, and Shibuya look like completely different places once it gets dark and everyone goes home. That's when homeless people come to set up their camp for the night, set up cardboard boxes in the stations or outside in the park, trying to avoid people, trying to avoid the police so they're not asked to move. They will camp out in the station all night and you will never even know they were there because come morning they're gone and they're back out walking around with everyone else and you would never even know that those people are homeless. The final reason you don't see homeless people in Japan is because of image. Japan is known as a global powerhouse, one of the most developed and richest countries in the world. And people that visit here simply don't believe that poverty and homelessness could possibly exist here, even if it's standing right behind them. The blue tarp you see walking down the street, probably just construction. The old man you see walking around, probably just going back to his apartment. When you don't believe that poverty exists, you're unlikely to notice it. I have struggled with this topic for 3 years while documenting this, wondering if it's worth it to bring awareness to this, because awareness does not equal solving the problem. However, there was purpose, because thanks to Akirame Nai, the charity working with homelessness, we have been able to raise tens of thousands of dollars to help get these people off the streets and into housing, to get them the supplies they need, the clothes they need, and to show them that someone cares. I highly encourage you not to just watch this video, but to make a donation to this charity, and that is really how we're going to make an impact here. Please go into the video description and make a donation to Akirame Nai and help the people you saw in this video. It will make all of this worth it. Thank you for your support, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, check out some of my other videos to learn more about this issue.
Our story continues on the...
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This particular video that we were watching tonight.
Mount Public Place.
Let me put this on silent. Just dealt with one aspect of the homelessness populace in Japan. Matter of fact, I want to subscribe to this channel while I'm here, because I'll be going there for some more information. So I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. I wonder if Timothy Morgan 43 is still there. How did Timothy, if you're still there, question, how did you overcome being homeless? If you're still there, I'd like to know. I want to thank you all for watching. And as I've stated before, I'm not here for views, baits, and clicks. I'm here to present a service. And I'm going to continue to be that way. Never surrender. Never quit. All right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.